Good morning. Welcome to Friday's Hot Toddy. I am so late, but life happens sometimes, right? Let me just jump in real quick because I know I was late and I have a few things to push in here today. Oh, tea. Welcome to the Hot Toddy, whiskey and tea. I got it today. I want to push into a few things really fast here today because I have a few things to cover and everything is really important. So I want to use all my time as good as I can, or as well as I can. First of all, the benefit update for Valentine's Day benefit Art in Your Heart. That is going amazingly. I have a bunch of supporters right now and people that I'm meeting with that really want to monetarily support what's going on, either at the benefit or afterward in the future. And guys, this thing is like really taken a twist that I hadn't quite expected to take. So, like, that's going to come up in a minute too. So that's doing amazing. Some of you have started sharing my little banners and save the dates and stuff. That's great. I love it, appreciate it, and we really need to start pushing the word out and get that thing going. So when you see me post things like that on my private page, um, please by all means share, right? So we're trying to get some awareness and get some energy behind that going on. The Facebook pages for the Delta Dawn Foundation, which is who the benefits for, I went and launched those this week. There's the supporters page and the actual business page, which is the Delta Dawn Foundation, and the other one's the supporters of, or Delta Dawn Foundation supporters. I actually think I'm going to change that to the Friends of Delta Dawn and make it a little more friendly title and not so stuffy because I'm not stuffy. It shouldn't be either. Um, and that page is where we're all gonna be able to convene with our pets and our loves and show jokes and the goofy things our animals do and what we love happening and all that other stuff. So that's going to be, by all means, come on over and start talking and sharing your stuff and having life and fun over there too. Um, the topic for, oh, and with that, the pet of the week, I've spoken to some of you, and some of you I actually already have geared up to go into this. Hi, Jennifer, I see you. I know you're one of my first ones too. Jennifer's already worked with me on this, and her cat is going to be one of our pets of the week very soon. There is a jot form that is attached. It's on my page, it's on the foundation page, and it's on the supporters page. If you fill out that form, I need to get the uploads put back onto that form for the photos. Right now, I'm just contacting people individually because it's giving me all kinds of tech issues. Hi. And it's basically, I'm going to need like 6 or 8 pictures, good pictures of your animal. And there's some questions that I ask you. And 4 days out of each week, or every week, I'm highlighting an animal or a pet. And for 4 of those days, your pet will be the picture that is on the meme with details about rescues, or the um, effects of pet ownership on your body and your mind. Um, One is just a highlight of your animal and tells everybody all about your animal. And another one is the quote of how your animal has helped you make changes in your life or, gotten you through the hard times. So your animal's actually highlighted 4 times out of the 7 days. And one of the reasons I chose to do that is because people will naturally love to share their animals, right? And by doing that, it's also helping promote the page. So it's kind of twofold. We're paying respects to an homage to what our animals and our pets do for us, and it's helping spread the word about who we are and what we're doing and what our mission is. So it's twofold. It's all free for everybody. There is no qualifying, ooh, I want to be I want my pet to make it. There's no qualifiers other than you own a pet and you get me the stuff, right? And then just waiting for me to get through to whenever your animal shows up. I can't guarantee how long that will take. Right now it's pretty fast because we're new at this, but later on it might take a while. So if the faster you do it, the faster it's going to happen for you. And eventually I want to turn this into, at some point, I'm going to probably pull a competition or do something like that and build a calendar for next year so I can sell that as a fundraiser for the foundation. So that, just keep that in mind. We got the end in mind on this, right? So there's so many opportunities going on with the foundation, and I'm just totally stoked. It's been a crazy week, but it's cool. It's supposed to be crazy, but it's a good crazy right now, not a thing. Which brings me to the topic for the week, which is fear. We did shadows last week. This week is fear, and fear is literally the most common shadow that anybody has, and it drives all the other things that we do, right? And a lot of times we don't understand it. One big one for me, and it's actually the biggest one for most people, is social anxiety. And social anxiety is 100% driven by fear. An example of this is I was invited to a basically a cocktail mixer, but it's like, we're in a hybrid world. So I was invited to a party that was in Florida before a Tony Robbins event, Date with Destiny. But she invited everybody to buy into a Zoom meeting that was actually brought to the party, right? There's a computer and cameras brought to the party. And there was those of us in the Zoom room who got to connect and mingle, and proximity is power. So we got to, it was a platinum party, which in the Tony Robbins world, those are people who pay a pretty steep price to be in the next level membership of Tony Robbins, right? So these are people who are already successful. They can afford to do that kind of thing. And you could buy your ticket to a cocktail mixer and mingle with these people that have already got their foundations successful and their businesses are successful. And well, let's face it, you don't get money advice from your broke friends, right? If you want to build money and you want to be able to do these things, then you talk to people who are already doing it. So I bought access into these pre-parties 2 times already, but the one in December, it was a 5-hour mixer, and the first hour I was a straight up hot mess. Just hot mess, like over talking, jittery, stuttering, cannot get my brain to work. Might have said the wrong thing at the wrong time, and maybe I didn't, but in my head, if you have social anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It probably sounds fine to everybody else. And I was in process beating myself up the entire time because I was so afraid of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, not making the right impression. What if they don't like me? Blah, 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 blah. And I had put so much pressure on myself that nobody else would have really had a fair shot at even knowing who I was, right? And as the day went on, more of me, authentic me, came out like this. And really, what that all boils down to is the fear that I'm not enough, right? Am I worthy of this? What am I doing here? All those crazy questions that we ask ourselves that nobody knows. I mean, half the time we don't even know we're asking ourselves those questions, right? So those fears come from other places, and usually they come from our shadows, which is why I did that last week to build into this one instead of just throwing fear out there first. It has a bigger impact this way. So to answer all those questions, the question is I am good enough. I'm kicking butt at what I'm doing, right? I have all these different things in my life and all these experiences. They're not here to hurt me. They're here to help me. I've gotten through so many harder things than what I'm doing now. I'm living my passion and doing what I want to do now. There's zero for me to be afraid of. And if somebody does say no to me, I just go to the next person, right? So we put these expectations on ourselves, and our ego just kicks us in the butt all the time for things that ultimately, like, what if you've ever done stuff like this and you get through it on the other side, once you get past picking it apart yourself, when you're done, when nobody else is thinking about it, right? To holler, anybody else done that? Because I've done that. Once you get past that stage, you realize that you didn't die and something good came out of it. And if something good didn't come out of it necessarily, you still had the lesson and you made it through. It was nowhere near what we thought it was when it started, right? And if I wouldn't have done those meetings or those cocktail mixers with my tea, right, I would have never had the connections that I have now for the foundation, right? So that whole do it afraid thing, that's true. Don't let that fear stop you. If your brain says, what if I do this? What if this happens? And I ask myself now, what if I don't? What if I don't do this? What if I don't push through and do what I'm called to do? Who am I not being a service to, and who am I letting down by not doing what I'm supposed to do? Right. And it's not about, this group isn't about me at all, ladies, but so many of you have come back to me and said, thank you for doing this group. Thank you for doing the pet thing. Thank you for just being a voice, right? What would happen? What would have happened? We wouldn't be talking right now if I let my fear stop me. We wouldn't even be having this conversation, or one-sided conversation, which eventually we'll have conversations. But that's just, what if I don't do it, right? Do it afraid anyway, because you don't know. And you're not going to build another experience if you don't do another new thing and step out from where you're at. That's really the secret to getting past fear. It's not a secret. People just, it sucks at first until you do it enough that it stings less at the beginning, right? And I still have social anxiety. I'm still working through that, but it's getting better because I see the results on the other side. And another way to do this is to change your state, to change your mood, to change everything almost instantly. And my secret to that is I anchor my emotions into music and songs. Love music and songs, right? So this morning I had something just, I had one of those. You ever let somebody push you and you're trying to be quiet about it, and then it pushes you so much you just blow up and you're all kinds of pissed off, and it's because you should have said something like 6 events ago? Yeah, that happened this morning. And I was like, well, I can't get on my show like this because I just don't bring that energy to this group. I just refuse to. And I refuse to stay in that state too, right? If something happens like that, I just gotta, okay. So let me give a different example of that. Animals in the wild, when they're being, like, if a gazelle is being chased by a lion, they run for their life and they're scared and they have all this fear. And if they outrun the lion and they didn't end up becoming dinner, they stop, they shake off the fear, the chemical, and they go about their day grazing. They do not think about it again. Humans are the only ones that do it, right? So my way of anchoring myself into music to change my mood is my way of shaking it off. I do it intentionally. So before I started the show today, I keep calling it a show, it's fine. So before I started a show today, I'm like, I can't go into this group with this mood that I'm in right now, and I need to change the mood I'm in. Hi, June, I see you. So I'll actually post them in the comments of this show meeting today, live, whatever you want to call it. I don't know why I'm changing words all of a sudden. It's fine. But 3 songs that I anchor myself all the time, and every time I hear any of those songs, it instantly brings me back into the right state of mind. It doesn't matter what happened 5 minutes before that because I'm done. And then my dogs start jumping and dancing because they, dogs are telepathic and dogs pick up on that stuff. So then the dogs are happy too. So by changing our mood and setting things into motion like that intentionally, we get rid of that fear. If I'm going to a meeting or I don't want to be nervous in a meeting, I know which songs to play right before the meeting starts, right? If I'm mad and I just really want to smack somebody, I have rage music. I have acid rock and all kinds of shit in my phone when I know that it's not a healthy thing to walk around screaming at people or smacking people, but I'll get that frustration out and I'll get that energy out in the music. I see you said I do that too, Jennifer. Good. Awesome. So I'm going to post my 3 faves right now because my music does switch around, but I'm going to post those videos in the comments of this video today. And that is what's coming up this week is approaching fear. The video tomorrow is by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you guys know him yet or not, but he's a spiritual teacher / medical doctor. Breathe in, breathe out, move on. Absolutely. I don't have that one in my phone, June. I'm going to have to find it because we'll have this conversation about phone. I was actually going to ask everybody to list their songs and their playlist for this in the comments. So thank you so much. You beat me to it. But anyway, Joe Dispenza, he actually is like a neuroscience brain guy, doctor, and he has studied like the science of happy and the chemicals of fear and all these different things. And he has actually had, he holds a healing seminar, and they've actually seen people heal themselves. Like people who are lame that have never walked a day in their life at the end of the seminar have gotten up and walked because there is such an impact on our mental state of mind and our mental being and how it impacts us physically. I have multiple autoimmune and diagnoses and stuff like that. And I even have a conversion diagnosis, which is PTSD on steroids. June knows, that took me down to my knees 7 years ago. I had tremors. I couldn't even walk. It was so bad. And now I'm riding motorcycles and I'm doing all these things. I'm on no medications. I have almost hardly ever have any pain. And it was all the mental mind and mental state of getting past all the fears and the traumas and all the other things. So when people tell you that you can energetically change your life and heal these things, you absolutely can. And I know you can because I've done it, right? And it's entirely up to people. I don't push it. I just tell them that it's possible. But there's a short clip tomorrow that he explains that in a nutshell. And then in the comments tomorrow, I'll put the whole hour interview that he did. And he's a really cool guy to check out. So I try to keep things positive, and that's how we're approaching fear this week. Is not how do we live in it, it's how do we live past it, and how do we live beyond it, and how do we grow beyond it. So I love you guys. I'm in such a good mood considering where I was an hour ago. And actually, I stood up for myself in that case too. Instead of worrying about this one last caveat here, instead of worrying about what people are going to say because you stood up for yourself and you stood up for your boundaries, if you stand up for your boundaries and they're not okay with it, they're not supposed to be there. Plain and simple. Don't be afraid of being abandoned or not loved or anything else like that. Because if you're not standing up for your boundaries and who you are, then you're not making space for the people who are going to love your space and your boundaries and your beautiful you, right? You have to make room in your life for those people. So, and when I stood my ground this morning, the whole thing turned on its head. It had a positive outcome, I promise. So, all right. I love you, and we will talk to you later. And let's continue this conversation about our music in the comments. Bye. Keep on rocking.